Hi class. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about your first assignment, which is an article summary. And I'm asking you to find two articles and then to write a short summary of each one. So we're going to walk through today just some basics about what a summary is, what an article is, and I'll get you sort of started to give you some skills, research skills, so you'll be able to find an article on your own. So let's start here with what is a summary. So basically a summary is just a short, clear description that gives the main ideas or main facts about something. So in our case, we're looking at an article, but you can summarize any piece of information. You could summarize, an episode of your favorite TV show. You could summarize the plot line of a movie. And in just our case, we're looking at a scholarly article. So that's what we're going to summarize for this assignment. And a good summary is really just the main ideas. So you don't want to give a lot of filler and extra information. You just want to give the basic central thesis or argumentative points of the article. And you want to be really short and concise and say it as simply and clearly as possible. So your summary paragraph should be short, under a page in length. So try to aim for the 150 to 200 word mark for a paragraph that summarizes your article that you'll find. So for just a little activity, fun activity, just to practice your summary skills, you might practice writing a summary of the fairy tale Cinderella in 5 sentences or less. So once you try it, it'll be sort of a challenge because you really have to be short and concise in your plot summary of what happens in that fairy tale. You could try a different fairy tale if you're not familiar with Cinderella. So pick a children's story that you're more familiar with and try writing a short paragraph that summarizes that story concisely, gives just the main ideas, and keep it under 5 sentences or less. So keep it under that 200 word limit, and just practice your summary skills. So give it a try and see how it goes. Okay, so I quickly wrote this summary of Cinderella off the top of my head from what I can remember of the Disney film. I hadn't watched it in a long time, so it was kind of difficult to remember some of the details, but I gave it my best shot. So you can do the same. So give yourself 15 minutes or something and try to write your summary paragraph of the fairy tale. And yours might look different from mine. It just depends on what information you feel is the main ideas of that story. And you want to make sure you touch on all the main points that you think are important. So in this case, I wanted to touch on the main parts that, it's about a girl who's poor, overworked, treated poorly by her wicked stepsisters. I don't think I mentioned the stepsisters, so that might be something I want to revise in my summary, but it's about her marrying the prince and being sort of enchanted through this magic spell, and then leaving the glass slipper abruptly at the ball, the prince finding it, and then they end up married and living happily ever after. So those were the main ideas that I wanted to add into my paragraph summarizing the fairy tale. So you can, do the same. You might want to cut it down to like 5 key points that you think summarizes or those main ideas of that fairy tale story that you pick, and, do it point form first and then write your summary paragraph. So that might be one way of doing it. So maybe just take jot notes, bullet points first, and then write your paragraph. So this is one strategy that you might do with your assignment as well. So take notes while reading an article, do bullet points of key ideas or keywords that you want to include in your summary, and then try writing your summary paragraph. Okay, so let's continue our discussion. So what is an article? So this, again, will be probably a new term for students, especially those coming out of high school. You might not have had a chance to do any kind of research using articles in your secondary school, and that's fine. That's probably, what most students, they'll learn this skill in university. So this will carry you through your university career, and this is like an essential part is looking what other scholars have written about a topic you're interested in. So an article is basically just a published scholarly essay that's been, published and written by academics. So all of your professors, anyone who works at the university, they write papers when they're not teaching, and they try to get those papers published. And eventually they become either book chapters or they become journal articles. And I'm asking you guys to find articles that have to do with a subject that you're interested in and that you want to research and learn more about. So you're really going to find essays, published essays called articles that have been written about a topic that you're interested in. So the special thing about articles, and that's one of the reasons why academics use articles, is the fact that they're peer-reviewed most of the time. So it means that subject or people in that field have done a sort of quality measure of the information in each article that's being published. So it's been checked for accuracy. So it makes it more reliable and trustworthy as a source, rather than just some random website that you found with a Google search. So an article is more trusted. It's, the facts and information in it have been, rigorously tested, and the information is sort of the cutting edge, the most trustworthy information available on that topic. So that's why we like them in academia. I know it's not the easiest thing to find, but that's also part of the process of learning how to research as a student. So it's easier to do a Google search and find a Wikipedia article on the thing, but anybody can do that. So we want you to really start elevating your research skills by finding journal articles and academic sources in general. Books, book chapters are also in this trusted information area. So we want to make sure we are doing quality research and teaching you at least the skills how to do that here in first year of your program. So what else here? Sorry, just going to correct this. Articles exist in both print and online formats. So we're lucky now that you can access a lot of these articles online, and the information you can, just read it off your computer. Back in the day, you had to find the actual journal as a hard copy in the library, and you had to take it out and photocopy it, and then that's how you'd have to read it. So they've made it a lot easier now to find them. And to access articles, published academic articles, it's recommended that you use your university library or Sask Polytechnic Library webpage and use a database. So that's a searchable list of all the journal articles that are available through that institution. So U of R or Sask Polytechnic. Okay, so enough about that. Let's try this little activity here. And I want you to go to the U of R library main page and find the quick find page. And then I want you to click on the tab that says articles, and then do a quick search for a topic, and then try to find just the articles on that topic. So for practice, I'm going to ask you to everybody search for the same topic. In this case, I want you to look up students and stress. So let's try this right now, and you can do it on your own as well and just follow along. Okay, so you should find this page on your U of R library website. And if you don't find this, you can Google, just scroll to the top here. Oopsie. Here we go. So it is at http www.uregina.ca is where you can find it, and then go to your library page. So here's the quick search option, and this is where you would type in information like a search term to find what it says here: books, articles, and more. So we want articles, and so you can see there's different tabs at the top here. So we'll click on articles, and this is going to limit our search to just articles that are available through the U of R. So I'm asking you guys to type in students and stress, and the little and symbol or plus sign here is just a shortcut. And it will mean that your search will look up the word students and stress in any article. And there's millions of articles that include those. So the plus sign means I want to find articles which include both students and stress in them. And you might want to, further narrow this down as you keep searching. So maybe this is going to give us millions of articles to look through, and we want to narrow it down further. So we might do that. So let's see what we get for our search. Okay. Just gonna. Okay, so we did our search. Okay, so we got 2,309,834 results. So that's a really, big number. I don't want to read all of those articles. So we can narrow it down further. And you can see, just if you scroll down, all items, we wanted articles, and that's what it's given us. So it's on the side here, you can look at only full text online, and those are the ones that you can access just, right straight from your computer. Peer-reviewed journal articles. So yeah, if you wanted a peer-reviewed, you could narrow it down further. So there's 1,683,000. So you could do that. But you might just scroll through and see if any of these are interesting to you. So maybe the topic of nursing student stress is more interested, that you guys are maybe more interested in that topic. So you could go back and alter your search terms. Oops. Nursing, students, and stress. Okay, and then we want articles. And so we can try searching that one and see if it narrows down. So yeah, we can see our search results have gone down quite a bit. So 484,853. So that's at least a smaller amount. Stress, coping, and satisfaction in nursing students. So all of these are articles that you can click on the title, and it'll take you directly to that article that's been written about that topic. So yeah, so you can, if I'm looking for articles that I'm, that pique my interest, I usually just read the title. And if it's something that I want to learn more about, I'm going to click on it. Okay, so once you find an article that you want to actually read, you can, use that list to narrow it down to find the one that you want to write your summary on. But it's a good idea to, click on a couple and sort of scan it and see if you understand it, or if it's interesting to you. If you don't understand it and it's just too complicated or something, just pick a different one, because, you know, you don't have to read it. So pick something at least you're interested in. And just some tips and ideas for when you're writing when you're reading and trying to understand articles. It is going to use academic language, so you might not understand everything, but it's sort of just important that you pick up some of the main ideas of the article. So here's some ideas. So when you're reading, so gather information from the title and the abstract of the article. The abstract is basically a summary of what that article is about. So you can scan through that and see if it appeals to your interests. And then you can identify the journal's name, and that will also help you identify who this article is intended for. And you can read through the introduction of the article and the conclusion, and usually that's the main thesis or argument is going to be stated in the introduction and restated again in the conclusion. So that's when the main points of the article are usually conveyed. And then you can also scan the article and just see how they've divided up the information. So what kind of sections they've included in their paper. So depending on what kind of paper it is, if it's like a study, does it have like qualitative evidence? Does it have quantitative evidence? Does it have a discussion section, a methodology section? So each paper is going to be a little bit different about how or what sections they include. So it's just sort of make note of maybe some of the headings and what kind of information is under each heading. You don't necessarily have to summarize everything in each, heading or each section. You just want to get, what the basics, what that article was about or what the study was about, and the main findings. And another way, you can look at topic sentences and concluding sentences for each paragraph and see if you get the main ideas that way as well. And whenever I'm reading, just a little tip, I use a highlighter pen, or if you're reading off of your computer, you can sort of highlight passages or annotate them. And that's one way of sort of just highlighting important passages that you maybe will come back to if you ever want to, reference them again. So for our practice activity, I want you to try to find this article, which is called Distance Learning Related Stress Amongst Undergraduate Nursing Students During the COVID-19 Pandemic. And we'll see that article. So you don't have to write a summary on this one, but this is just a practice activity just to see if you can find this article in your search. So you can, if you were going to try to search it, you could do an author search, you could do a title search, you could try to search keywords. So you might look up stress plus nursing students plus COVID and see if it pops up. So there's different ways that you can try to find information, but just see if you can find this one. And if you can't, you can, ask for advice, or, keep trying until you find it. So we'll give you that for a little, homework assignment, I guess. Try to find the article. Okay, so when you find the article, you'll see information here. So this is the article title, gives you the author's names here. It tells you the name of the journal. So this is the Journal of Nursing Education. And then the publication date, the volume number. This is the issue number, so issue number 12, and then the page range of the article. So this is page 666 to 674. It gives you a little very brief summary sentence of what that article is about. So the theme of the study was to examine the stress levels, stressors, and associated socio-demographic variables among undergraduate nursing students as a result of a transition to distance learning amid COVID-19. It's peer reviewed and it's a full text available. So all this information is here just on your little index note card here. So to find the actual article, you need to click on the link. And then it will pop up to this page where this information is repeated. And then to view it, so if you scroll down here, this is where you actually click on the database. And this is the name of the database where you can access it. So when you're eventually doing your citation for your article summary, you want to be able to track down the name of the database that you use to find the article. And so this one is going to be Education Database. And then when you click on this, after you log in, you should find your article. Okay, so yeah, you get your article should pop up for you. And again, all that information about the author's names are listed here. And usually it's last name listed first and then the first name. Last name, first name, last name, first name. And the DOI, so that you'll also want to keep track of, because that's the identifying number of this specific article, and that's what you also need to include in your citation. And there's a little button sometimes available where it gives you a citation for you. So you want to make sure you're picking the most appropriate APA. Let's see what this one comes up with. So it gives you a basic APA reference. If this one doesn't give the DOI, so I would prefer the DOI being included. I'm not sure if it does that. Okay, so anyway, don't always trust these automatic citations. I know it's kind of a shortcut, but they are sometimes not reliable for all of the information that you need to include. And I usually download the article to my desktop, so it's easy to access again. So you can full text download the PDF and save it to your computer screen, and then it's easily accessible. It gives you a little abstract. So most APA articles will give an abstract, and it just basically summarizes each section of that article. This one has the background, the method, the results, and the conclusion of the study. So you could definitely read that, see if you understand and want to read more about that article. And then you can, scan and read through the full text. So you might look at the introduction. So this is all of the introduction here. And then you can notice that there's going to be different sections. So they're usually in bold headings to divide the paper up into different parts. So this is another feature of an APA paper, is the use of headings and bold headings as different section markers throughout a paper. So this one, further headings are used to divide up this section. So this is still the method. So we have design, sample setting, procedure, instruments, quantitative and qualitative, and then data analysis. And then we have a results section, and then there's different subheadings. So we have qualitative and quantitative findings under there. And then you have a discussion section. And this is usually where the authors of the study talk a little bit about whether their study was successful or not, or what they learned from it, or sort of talking about it, the results of the study. And their discussion section also includes a kind of summary of the effects of stress levels. So the discussion section is quite long. The sources of stress, limitations of their study. So sometimes An APA article will also include this limitations section that tells us if there's any gaps in the research or what other questions are needed for a more complete study of this topic. And then finally, there's a conclusion paragraph. This one also has an implications paragraph, but that's more rare to find. Most essays end with a conclusion. And this will, again, summarize the main findings of this study article. And then, of course, you have the reference page. So this gives you all the references that this article cited. And these are all in APA style. So you can, again, use them as reference for how you should do your own referencing for your article summary. And if you were doing a research paper on this, you could go through a reference list and try to find some of these other sources if they sound like they would be useful for your paper. So it's another good way to, track down articles that are referenced or relatable to the topic that you're interested in. Okay, so that's the basics of what you're going to expect with your article. Again, you don't have to read and understand every little thing, like all of these test results. Sometimes they use a lot of formulas and stuff like that. And I don't understand a lot of the quantitative data findings just because I don't have a scientific background, but I, gravitate more towards the qualitative information. But, some of you might be more interested in quantitative data. So it just really depends on your interests and your understanding of the topic and that kind of thing. So just make sure you read, take your highlighter pen, highlight and underline any ideas that you think are important, and then try to go back to this idea of summary. And how are you going to condense that information into just a single paragraph? So as you can see, this essay is, over 10 pages long, 11 pages. So I need to condense all this information into just one paragraph. So it's a tough thing to do, but it really forces you to just put in the main points, the main ideas, and be really concise and try to simplify the information so it's really clear to understand. So yeah, that's basically what an article summary will do.